Hello, this is Clayton with Aeromotive Research and Development Group. Today we're going to be sharing about the SynMax Racing 15W50 motor oil designed for competition race engines. SynMax 15W50 is available in a 3-gallon case, 12 quarts in a case. For better discounts, buy 2 or more cases. It'll save you some money. 15W50 applications is all engine applications which require straight 40, 050, 550, 1550, or even a 2050 oil as required or suggested by the engine builder under technical directive. In other words, it tells you what you need. Now it could be with a hydraulic or a solid lifter, roller lifter, valve train. Normally this is for your most extreme duty and hot condition performance. Now it can be used in any motor. Chevy 350 500 cubic inch engines which require a 50 weight oil. Now suggested customer years is by the spec engine builders. Alright, so it's not limited to just short track, but it can be used in sprint car, dirt car, sports car, anything that requires a 50 weight oil. Furthermore, a very good suggestion for the Ilmor 396 ARCA motor or even marine engines. All right. This is also a good engine if you've got a motorcycle that doesn't have clutches in the inlet, such as a Harley Davidson, Ducati, etc. So this is the Aerospace Advantage for motorsports, designed for competition engines. Now in the product data, it's a full synthetic product with considered full synthetic with the Aerospace base oils, high zinc, anti-wear formulation, which includes the diamond-like additives. It is the Aerospace Advantage that greatly decreases friction while increasing component durability, improving horsepower and torque. This oil will provide performance repeatability and extended racing engine life with the components that are working very well. Special tackiness for the oil to stick better, which sometimes is a problem with synthetics, but this has been overcome with this product. Superior flat tappet roller cam and valve train protection. It's got the PAO, polyolefin, premium synthetic stability for increased oil pressure and improved oil volume with cooler oil temperatures. All right. Now, the DLA performance, the diamond-like additives applies, you see, because it will lower the coefficient of friction to increase horsepower and torque, lower the water and the oil temp. So, Clayton, how does this happen? Well, within the steel carbonate metal-to-metal contact areas, the diamond-like additive soaks into the metal and becomes embedded with heat and friction. See, this is very important for your solid and hydraulic lifters, your cam bearings, roller lifter, entire valve train, your valve stems and your bushings, your cylinder walls, crosshatch areas, piston ring, skirts, and wrist pin. Now, something most important that people don't really think about is your oil pump, and even your dry sump oil pump components can be protected by the Aerospace Advantage for motorsports. Regarding the diamond-like additive, to prove on the lower the coefficient of friction, after about 1 hour of hot and cold cycles, it takes a little time to get in. You see, the DLA and the PAO activates at elevated temperatures with use time and heat cycles for about an hour. Once it soaks into the metal and becomes a part of the metal surface, it will reduce the coefficient of friction historically to 0.14. Now the engine will experience increased horsepower, torque, and lower water and oil temperatures. Now under anti-wear, this is actually the protection of the metal surfaces. Here is an example of a 4-ball wear scar test. Now compared to moly, okay, this is like 10% less wear or 10% greater protection as compared to moly, even with ZDDP and ZINC products. Now, a test was conducted to compare moly and diamond-like additives in a very similar environment. Now here we've got a NASCAR engine, 355 cubic inches, 875 horsepower, a 600-mile test, 9,000 RPMs. Now both products had a 5W30 synthetic race formulated motor oil. In other words, it had like a high level of zinc, like 1,500 parts per million on the zinc. But the left used moly and the right used the diamond-like additive. You can see a difference. Let's look at this a little deeper. Again, here's the lifter surfaces after 600 miles at 9,000 RPMs. The left was a high zinc with a moly. The right was a high zinc with the diamond-like additives. Here we are with 50-time magnification of the same lifter. Now the left lifter, you will see, had micro-fretted metal surface wear. It's called surface embrittlement. Say, Clayton, that's a fancy word. Well, switch it back around. Embrittlement of the surface. In other words, it started to break off from frictional heat. You see, this is what promotes little specks of metal floating around in your engine. All right. If this was a piston crown, it'd be called flash fire degradation. In other words, from the heat, it's just starting to degrade the metal surface. Now, the right lifter used the diamond-like additive. It allowed the metal surface, when the DLA in a nano fashion absorbed into the metal surface, to operate cooler with reduced friction and greater protection. With a 500 magnification, here's the lifter surfaces after 600 miles of durability test. The left lifter was the moly, and with the high zinc, you're going to see micro metal surface embrittlement. In other words, you can see where the metal is breaking off. And the right lifter had the high zinc with the diamond-like additives. You'll see that it provided less friction and surface protection. This is truly the aerospace advantage for motorsports in action at the toughest point of the engine. Another area that's very important is what we call combustion chamber cleanliness. In other words, the diamond-like additive and the PAO resist deposit formation more effectively than moly when exposed to high temperatures. Here you'll see an example of the molybdenum, which is commonly used in a lot of racing oils, had a 50 milligram deposit, where the DLA with PAO was a 30 milligram deposit. And an oil with nothing in it, like a regular 520 motor oil that was used, had 23 milligrams of deposit. Now, what's this mean? The diamond-like additive with PAOs provides clean and efficient combustion chamber burn operations with less deposits. Now, DLA with PAO synthetic provides combustion deposit cleanliness. Explained a little better. You see, combustion cleanliness is important for long-term high RPM needs. If the racing and high-performance additive is not balanced or formulated correctly, especially with the ZDDP or zinc has an overtreatment within the motor oil, the unburned contaminants will create piston hot spots, it will get into the spark plug, etc., and cause spark detonation. You see, the diamond-like additives with the polyolefin synthetics provide nanotechnology which creates clean burn efficiency in combustion operations. Now, if there was an environmental requirement, the DLA and PAO will not affect low ash and low sulfur content needs. I say, Clayton, how do we put this all together? Well, when we have everything coming together, we've got lower friction, 0.14. We've got increased anti-wear protection. In other words, the metal-to-metal contact friction areas. All this comes together to help your cam and your lifters and your pistons and your cylinder walls, your oil pump, your rings, and all the components. I say, Clayton, how does it work in a real-life motor like in short track? Well, I'll show you. You see that the SynMax synthetic racing motor oil was in a Corvette engine, which there was a huge LS2 program. So after 1 year and 1,500 short track racing miles at 8,000 RPMs, high acceleration, de-acceleration, 600 horsepower. First off, the motor inside was clean and protected. Now, we really never got into this, but you see the SynMax racing oil uses a very clean base oil without high amounts of sulfur or other contaminants as other racing oils might use. But then the DLA for lower coefficient of friction and increased anti-wear protection protected the rod, the crank, the cam bearings. They were still in good to excellent shape. Now, everything was inspected and rebuilt as needed, but in this instance, since all the parts were the first time after the rebuild, the pistons, the rods, the crank, all the hard parts, the lifter, the cam, was all able to be reused. You see, the piston skirt and cylinder wall had very, very good or minimal wear at all. Camshaft roller lifters weren't good. Did not require any hard parts to be replaced. So the final rebuild cost was just a standard R&R with springs, rings, and bearings. Now, you always replace components at the end of their service life, and you need to inspect them. Truly, the Aerospace advantage for Motorsports to save you money on your engine rebuild. Now, there's additional products that are available. We've got 5W30, 1540, the 1550, and for the economy, the 20W50 and the synthetic blend. Additional products in the SynMax Racing family includes gear lubes. We've got for the Burp Lube Magic, it will work in your 2-speed direct drive transmission, which also can work in the Burt, but also the Brent and the Falcon, which uses a material clutch application. The SynMax Power Steering Fluid and Racing ATF. A very good product is the Gladiator 1000 Grease, which is an extreme duty calcium sulfonate product included with the diamond-like additives. And we've got the 7590 and the 75140, which is used for the quick change, or the Ford 9-inch lube 75140. We also suggest, if you've got a Gleason or locker, that you need to use it even in a quick change. If you've got a Gleason or locker inside your drive axle, that you need to use a 75140. For your tow vehicle, a race hauler, or camping, going to the track, please consider to use the 75140, what we call the Ford 9-inch lube, inside of that to protect that towing vehicle rear axle. On behalf of Wayne Lensing and Danning Lensing from Performance Parts Supply, Left-Hander Chassis, and SynMax Racing Products, we want to thank you for the time together. We appreciate you learning about the SynMax 15W50 motor oil that's designed for competition engines. Should you be interested in this, please contact us at synmaxoil.com. Give us a call at 815-389-9999. And if you have any additional technical questions, give us an email at office@aeromotiveresearch.com. Thank you, and we'll see you at our next presentation.